G'day, HMR here. Commenter commented on the video I did. You can't give borderlines what they need. They don't want it from you anyway. And a commenter says, is it that they only want what you focus so hard to give them for so long? No, it's not even that. It's that people with BPD or suspected of having BPD can't take in what you're actually giving, don't have a self from which to actually trust anything about you, which isn't about any of you. It's about people with BPD. Or do they only want what you focus so hard to give for so long? Well, that steps right into the reality of people with BPD's ever-changing, ever-shifting feelings. So you give so much for so long. Is it just that? Well, not really. It's more like they can't be committed to a relationship. They have the push-pull, the approach avoidance conflict. So they're either going to be experiencing or being triggered by massive fear of abandonment or massive fear of engulfment. And this commenter said, continued attention, financial help, and anything else. People with BPD tend to be extremely needy in various different ways. Not all, but many. And they also tend, all with BPD really are very codependent. Definitely they're going to want attention, financial help, and anything else. But why? But is it they only want it for so long? Well, not really. It's just that when they feel abandoned if you're not with them all the time. Many people with BPD need that all the time presence of you because they're seeking identity through you, like unconsciously. They don't know this. So what does that mean? It means like when you're sitting there with them, you're watching TV or movie, you're talking, you're doing whatever. You might be doing some other interesting things, right? That feel great. But like, and you wouldn't look at your watch then. But if you just looked at a watch or you're like, where's my phone? I just want to know what time it is. Why do they feel abandoned? Because many do if they're untreated. They feel abandoned by when you just take your eyes off the movie, off of them. You have to go do something. When the focus isn't all on them, they are experiencing fear of abandonment. And it triggers them internally. You're not doing it. You're not responsible for it. To this like lost emotional dysregulation storm inside of like, well, who am I now? Because you just went to the bathroom. Who am I now? Because you're looking at your watch. Who am I now? Who am I without you if you're at work? If you're not paying attention to me, a borderline will feel, then who am I? I don't feel safe. It doesn't feel okay. You're abandoning me. The way I just described that is not what most of them will be consciously aware of. Some might. But even if they are, they can't change it or soothe their feelings or emotions. And so when you give a lot, when you do a lot for them, and etc., then that becomes an overwhelming thing that they're going to feel controlled by. So there's a no-win there, invariably, inevitably, at some point of all of these relationships between people with codependency and or maybe something else from your past or PTSD from the relationship if you recycle too many times, etc. People keep on believing that you can just work this out somehow. You can, it can change, they can change, it'll work. But the people with BPD are now, when you've given so much for so long and they're kind of like, now they're not sure they want the relationship or they ghosted you or whatever the case is, it's because they go to that engulfment fear. And then as this happens more and more between the push, the pull, the approach, the avoidance, if you're recycling a relationship or maybe it never totally ruptured, you don't think, and they keep coming back in a patterned way, they ghost, maybe for 5 hours, maybe for 2 days, maybe for a week, maybe for 3 weeks, but they have a pattern of coming back and you're just waiting for that to happen. But that's never going to change unless until they get a lot of years of treatment in the most helpful modalities for BPD. And the commenter continued, why they call crying, saying they love me, but give mixed signals, saying they don't know how to let me go, but need to figure out how to. Approach avoidance conflict, how wounded they are, the fact that you're going to be an object of their parent representation to them, but unconsciously. And so why are they calling you crying, saying they love you? Because they're hurting and they're reaching out to, unconsciously, a parent figure. It's like, you're going to take care of me, right? I need you right now. So they'll say, I love you. Often they confuse love and need. They really should be saying, I need you, which still might be something a lot of exes want to hear, or on again, off again type situations. But when they cry and say they love you, what does that really mean to you? You feel like you really love them. You want this to continue. But even if they feel like they love you, they can't really love in a healthy, age-appropriate, mature, reciprocal, mutual, congruent, consistent way. It's always going to be this up and down, the roller coaster, the back and forth, the fear of engulfment versus the fear of abandonment. Of course, there's going to be mixed signals, because people with BPD, when they devalue you, well, who needs you around? You're nothing. Forget it. Or they out of sight, out of mind, and they don't know necessarily why. They just feel so strongly what they feel, because they're experiencing you as the bad, wounding parent. And it's not even about you. So when that happens, then they're not going to want to be around you. You're going to get that I need space message, which is usually the beginning of the end and indicates there's been a rupture for the person with BPD. And remember, they can't repair ruptures. So you keep trying to repair ruptures, but you can't repair the ruptures that they can't give 50% to repairing. So you're trying to do that by yourself. You don't have that control, and you just can't do it for somebody with BPD. They'll definitely be giving you mixed signals, because people with BPD don't really, especially untreated, they can't really attach. They got this approach avoidance conflict going on. They don't know who they are, so they don't know who they want. They don't know what they want. And then if you love them and you're really good to them, well, they don't feel like they're worthy of that. And then that starts to give them feelings of shame, and they're not always consciously aware of all this. It just happens, and it's why they split, and it's why they push you away again. And then maybe they think something else, and they need you because they need you, not because they're in some healthy adult relationship with you and they really love you. No, they need you like a child would need a parent. And then they're like, I love you, and we can do this, and I made a really bad mistake. But if you keep taking them back, they're just going to keep doing the same things over and over. And you won't have changed. You'll still have codependency and whatever else might be happening for you. So why continue to keep the cycles going, believing there's going to be change when nobody's changed to make anything change? And by the way, if you just think it's a person with BPD that has issues, yes, they have issues. Yes, they have a lot of fragmentation and brokenness inside of them. They don't know themselves. And so you might not be as wounded as they are, or as fragmented, or as broken, however we want to put that, but you are not as healthy as you think you are. Codependency is formidable, and you don't have to have everything to do with that or all the traits or aspects of codependency. It just takes one of those aspects or traits to ruin your life, because you're going to be believing in the fantasy of this person with BPD, the fantasy relationship. It's going to subsume you. You keep going back because it's going to change, because it's going to work out, because it's going to get fixed. How? Every time you try, it blows up again, because you can't do it. So why do you think you keep pursuing it? It's a good question for people. Like, I'm out here to work with you, resonate with me. It's a good question for people to explore and actually get the answers to, and then focus on self in healing and personal growth, and getting over that relationship, working it through, healing codependency, because otherwise you're just doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. And it's not just the borderline that can't give you a different result. It's you that is trying to get blood from a stone. You can't. But people don't accept that. People keep doing the same things. You keep abandoning yourself, etc. By the way, when they call and they say they love you after relationship rupture, after relationship rupture, after relationship rupture, this is what ghosting and discarding is about. And then the hoovering you back. I love you. I made a mistake. Whatever they say that you want to hear, or you hoover them back like, I really miss you. I want to be with you. I'll do anything for you. All of those words have meaning and feelings with them. Meanings on both sides probably. But what's missing from the person with BPD or suspected BPD, they talk a good talk about love. loving you, and using words. But it's usually in the absence of any actual action that would indicate any kind of even remotely healthy love or connection or attachment. Because that's the other thing. Why can they get gone so fast? How can everything be fine for this part of a Tuesday, and then all of a sudden it's all unfine? What happened? I'm out of here. You, screw you, blah, blah. And you get all this ragey stuff, or you get nothing because it's a quiet borderline. What's that? And then maybe they come back at some point, or you hoover them, and it's like, well, yeah, I really do love you. No. You're hearing words that have a meaning to you that calms down what you're missing and what's happening to you. These are all ruptures. And people with BPD don't know how to, untreated especially, but unless amazingly, spectacularly, very treated and changing in their own therapy and wanting that therapy for their own selves, not to make a relationship work, not to be who you want them to be. That's not the proper motivation. Doesn't help. So just because they phone you and cry and say they love you doesn't mean they know how to love you at all. And why is it you still want to hear that? Why you still believe that? Ask yourself these questions. And I can help you with all the answers and processing your way out of that really painful, awful, constant relationship rupture and the way you hurt. I'm out here to work with you if I resonate with you. Mixed signals is going to be all that you're really going to get, because nothing from a borderline or suspected borderline is going to be consistent or congruent. And then the commenter said, yeah, that when they said that they love them and they'll call crying, I love you. And the mixed signal, they say, they don't know, but a borderline will say often, maybe different words, whatever, maybe not communicate it, maybe act it out. They don't know how to let you go, but they need to figure out how to. If you hear that from somebody or words to that effect or sort of see that behavior, then what that means is all that I'm always talking about. They can't love you. They don't attach to you. They're not actually connected in any consistent, congruent way. Because trigger comes, split happens. Who are you again? No, you're this horrible person. You do all this to me. You're always... Okay. Hours, minutes, hours, days go by. I really miss you. I really love you. Okay, babe, come on over, or come, whatever the situation is. And then it's like, so you're going back in the same bedroom, or, depending, whatever the split was really about. Like, did they leave, whatever. And you're like, come on back, babe, yeah, I love you too. And then maybe there's a fight right away. Maybe there's a problem right away. Maybe it's like, oh, not again already. Maybe you get a little bit of good. Maybe there's some more physical relations, because for so many people, that's that drug. What is that drug about? Well, it's about all that you don't know about what you're lacking inside yourself, that you need that externally. I mean, yes, everybody wants that in their life. But why do you want that? Why do you get hooked so on that you're willing to throw your whole life away, as I've had many clients say, just for the sex? I would go back. I would put up with anything. But isn't that a total abandonment of self? To this point, the commenter makes, which I've had a lot of clients make this point too, they know, or they'll say, or something similar to these words, that they don't know how to let go of you, but they need to figure out how. So that's somebody who's saying, other words for that are like, oh, now I'm back, but I've got the back door wide open because I don't know how to do this. And for people with codependency, it can be too. Various levels of codependency, not everybody's the same. It can be like you've got the back door open in the relationship too. Maybe you're avoidant attachment, anxious attachment, anxious avoidant attachment. People with BPD are disorganized attachment, which really what I know in my expertise and where I'm coming from is that means no attachment. No attachment. No matter what it looks like, no matter what it feels like, no matter what they say. So remember, the words of a person with BPD, you might want to really hear those. You might feel really externally validated as a codependent by those words. Oh, good, we're on again. But you're only going to be on again to be off again. And these ruptures, every time the borderline's triggered, there's a rupture. They don't know how to repair them at all. And that's why you get into the jade conversations, justify, argue, defend, and explain. You're doing all that work. They're not. They're fighting you every step of the way, because what their words tell you should be showing you at some point is can't really be love at all. But the other thing is, Love is more an action than something that's talked about or described in words that make you go, oh, yeah, I love you too, babe. And, you're feeling something, but they're like just saying words as if they were feeling something, or as if they could bring the conflicting things inside of them together to have one feeling and hold it and actually attach to you and actually love you in a way that wouldn't just rupture again. When they don't know how to let go, but they need to figure out how to, this is where codependency slides into, for a lot of people, an overlap with BPD. It doesn't mean you have BPD, but you don't know how to let go either. And maybe you're not even realizing what the borderline might be realizing. Some of them, like this person with the commenter said, she said, well, she already knows I got to let go of you, but I don't know how. And so I would ask, the commenter, anybody who relates to the commenter, what about you? Like, don't you need to let go too, but maybe you haven't realized that yet? What's up with that? That's a codependent problem. That's not even about the borderline. You need to let go, and you don't know how either. You see the trauma bond dynamics, how they're shared between codependents and borderlines. It comes together in this horrible, tragic experience that's really painful for both people. How could somebody with BPD say to this person, I know I need to let go, I just don't love you, but I don't know how? That's the codependent dilemma. I need to let go of this borderline, but I don't know how. Think about it. The commenter said, codependent here, air quotes, not air quotes, quote, in love, unquote, with a girl with BPD for 8+ years, truly feel I love her and struggle immensely. Yeah, and there's something going on for this comment or anybody that relates to this, which is a lot of people. People are in all different iterations of the experience, all this experience with relationship, heartache and heartbreak. He still feels like he's in love with this person with BPD. 8+ years. It hasn't worked out in 8+ years. What's the number of years, how long you've been invested? It's not going to work out. You're wasting your life. Why are you abandoning yourself? Why are you cheating yourself from what you really want? Why are so many people working to make a borderline, which is impossible, trying to get your person with BPD to be who you thought they were, trying to get them to change, trying to get them to go to therapy, 8 years, round and round, on and off recycles, rupture. They can't repair any of them. They don't take responsibility. They don't take accountability. Oh, you so need to let them go, but you just don't know how. What about that? What are you doing? I'm out here to work with people. I've helped people change their lives, thousands of people over almost 35 years now. Why are you still investing in something that can't work? And for a lot of my clients and for a lot of people, it turns out to be because there's something you need to know about your childhood, something that happened in your childhood, what created the adaptive, trauma response of codependency, and what are you really seeking from this person with BPD? Because there's something going on unconsciously for you as a non-borderline, as a codependent, when you keep chasing them, when you keep wanting them back, when it's like this commenter said, for him, 8+ years, truly feel I love her and struggle immensely. And to you, commenter, and anybody that can relate, I would say, with all kinds of compassion and empathy, you need to get into treatment. You need to work with somebody, maybe like me if you resonate with me, but not everybody resonates with me. You really need to get into a healing and recovery journey to understand how you got there and understand why probably somewhere inside, that you need to let go, but you don't know how. In the work I do with clients, we find out where's that coming from, where in childhood, what really happened, what in your life has influenced you to the point where you can't love yourself enough to be able to deal with your emotions enough to know that when you need to let go, how to do it. Because I think a lot of people with codependency are just have been so hurt, and you might not be consciously carrying that around with you. It's been shoved down into your unconscious, maybe since you were a child or a teen. What is disavowed inside of us, whether somebody has BPD or codependency or whatever, what's disavowed and what's still left in the unconscious is just going to keep repeating itself. And it's so compelling and so painful that you need to let go. Like this this person's BPD Ex or on and off again person actually said and was aware. A lot of people with BPD are going to be aware of some things here and there, even though they can't help themselves out. And they continue to affect you and impact you extremely negatively. Because they're trying to figure out how to get out of the relationship. They're trying to figure out how to let go when they don't know how to. And I'm going to say it again. Can you relate to that? Never mind if that's a BPD thing and you're not a borderline, okay. But can you relate to, you need to let go. You recycled this puppy how many times now? The relationship, being the puppy. Rupture, 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 circle, circle, circle. Nothing's changing. You need to let go, but you don't know how. I'm out here to help people to learn how to let go. Whether the borderline is a sibling, a parent, your adult child, an ex, you were the ex, you were the favorite person, whatever the relationship type, the dynamics are very similar. So often talking about relationship dynamics here, but the relationship dynamics with a sibling, with a parent with BPD, with a friend with BPD, are often at core very similar. As a commenter said, truly feel I love her. It's your codependent fantasy. It's about something else in your life. You need to get into therapy to find out what is that. And you struggle immensely, and you're going to continue to struggle immensely. Not only the commenter, but anybody else in this situation, and so many people, thousands or more people on the internet right now won't be watching me necessarily, but they would relate to this statement that you need to let go, but you don't know how. So you continue to repeat codependent repetition compulsion cycles of, I got to get them back. I got to get the borderline back. I got to get him or her back. I got to get them back. I can't live without him. I got. What's driving you? You're not going to know. You're going to be like this commenter, unfortunately, still feeling like you love them in whatever the relationship type and struggling immensely. Is that how you want to spend your life here right now, no matter what age you are? Is that how you want your life to go? Is that how you think that it's meant to be for you? Because I can tell you that's not how it's meant to be for you. You deserve so much more, but you need to know yourself more. You need to know yourself better and understand what is not working in the relationship inside of yourself. You're hanging on to somebody you don't know how to leave, the person with BPD or NPD or BPD, NPD comorbid or more or whatever in cluster B. Please think about that. Because the commenter started off by focusing on the BPD on and off or the BPD Ex. How long? But she says she loves me. Okay, well, that's just you spinning your repetition compulsion wheels again because there's a rupture. And people BPD can't, untreated especially, can't repair a rupture. Means you can't repair the rupture. They still have BPD, nothing's changed. They need a lot of years for therapy if they're going to even do it, the work to change and to heal, to be able to relate in healthy ways. And what about you? You still have codependency. If you have CPTSD from childhood with that codependency, if you have PTSD from the relationship now, on top of the other two things, if that's other moving pieces for people, or counterdependency for that matter, by the way, then you don't know how to let go, but you need to let go. So again, I'm going to say out here to work with you if I resonate with you because you need to learn how to let go. And you need to learn why you can't do that right now. Because you haven't changed, they haven't changed. What could be different every time you recycle the relationship? And the answer, and I say with compassion, is absolutely nothing. You have to come to some realization at base, even if you don't know what to do. You don't know how to deal with your own emotions. Get into working with someone like myself out here, if I resonate with you, because you need to work through why it is that you may or may not yet, but think about it now. Do you feel like you need to let go? Because this is like insanity. This is driving you crazy. This is crazy making, but you can't let go. And you're struggling immensely. And for this commenter, 8 years. For lots of people, it's even longer than that. And you are subsumed in a codependent fantasy from fantasy bonding or trauma bonding with that person with BPD. And they're not who you thought they were, and they're not going to turn into who you thought they were. And I'm going to have more about why you can't get back with them if they do go for years of therapy and seek treatment, because that doesn't work either. What's up with that? So what I'm really trying to stress for you to hear is it's not just the borderline that keeps on, and maybe they're doing the ghosting and the discarding, etc. But every time they come back and you let them come back, or all these people chasing their exes or listen to coaches out there about do this, do that, do the other thing. What about this degree of contact? Contact for this much of time, or no contact, but play this kid, do this thing, because you got to reattract your ex. None of that works with cluster B people, ladies and gentlemen. It's all hooey. When are you going to give yourself the break? It's painful, but when you take that first step, take some action to help yourself out here. If I resonate with you, I'm out here to work with you. Book a session. Let's talk about why can't you let them go? Because as this person with BPD said, I know I need to let you go. I just don't know how. I have to figure out how. Well, one way or another, they're going to stop coming back. It doesn't mean they figured out how to let you go, but that's why they run to the next person. And codependents would want to do that too. But a lot of people with codependency can at least go, well, wait a minute. But you're still stuck on the focus of it's got to work with this person for all kinds of reasons. But reasons that show in my clients that they don't know how to love themselves enough, because they're not reasons that people with boundaries and healthy self-love would pursue anymore. It hurts too much. You're going to continue to struggle. So think about that, and I hope that you might get into action. And then for those of you who are already working with a therapist, because I get lots of comments on the channel, people are, hope it's going well. So if you're already working with a therapist, then you've got to ask yourself, are you getting anywhere? Or are you still stuck? That might mean you need to work with someone else. Or it might mean that you're really blocking your process somehow. But that's a special expertise of mine. Picking up in clients. I've been doing this work for 35 years, almost, a few months short of 35 years. I really can start to delve into, because I've got so much experience with the same patterns with different people in different ways. It can really help people to come to the conscious awareness of what is it that keeps you from letting go, and what is it that keeps you running from your own pain. Take care.